listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Peace, family. You're now listening to the mighty Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive reinforcement of original people and original people culture. The Narrative Podcast provides positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome all my narrators. So how's everybody doing on this fine Wednesday where it is hump day? We're over the hump. Weekend right around the corner. These months are just whizzing by. We're all the way just practically into the holiday season. As you know, in stores, like already, it's like, you know, the Halloween displays are out, but they got the Thanksgiving stuff and Christmas stuff up stocked in certain aisles already. So, you know, fast, move. But anyway, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Got a decent show for you this evening. So all my narrators, they're my regular listening audience. They already know the demonstration. They already know what my content entails and what type of format I'm going to present. But for everybody else, how I generally start things off is I plug and promote all my projects that I'm currently have done, and then I'll walk you guys through a brief overview of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. And the reason why I do that is just to basically give you full context of what you're listening to, so you can just you know, be fully informed and keep up with the stay up with the uptake. So we're gonna dive right on into the promotions and kicking things off. Of course, I would like to promote the platform itself, the Narrative Podcast. So the way you can support the platform is to follow me on YouTube and X, formerly Twitter. And the reason why you want to follow me on those two platforms is because this platform that I'm recording on automatically uploads to YouTube and X. So to support me on YouTube, to support the Narrative Podcast on YouTube, you want to obviously subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is my viewer channel, Halsey Allen on YouTube, HALLZIE Allen, ALLEN on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click your notifications button and click notifications all, and you will be informed instantly the moment a brand new episode of the Narrative Podcast is uploaded. And then after that, after you subscribe to my channel, you want to comment in the comment box. Leave me a comment about the episode, like listen to the episode and then leave a comment, obviously. Also click the like button, which is on YouTube, the thumbs up button. And then share the episode, the latest episode of the Narrative Podcast on any platform that you'd like to share content to. And that's how you support the Narrative Podcast on YouTube. Now on X, you got a whole lot more options. I'm not quite sure how the notifications work on X. I don't get a whole lot of them. I get like a little over a dozen from pages that I'm following. So I don't know how instantaneously you will get the notification, but follow me on X. I stay good at Halsey Allen on X. And then it's my page. When you go to I Stay Good at Halsey Allen on X, you should see a copy of my book of poetry that I've written pinned to the top of my page. It's titled The Black Card, and that's how you know you're on the correct page. And then once there, you should see the latest episode when you get your notifications of the Narrative Podcast. And when you see it, click on the link, and then it'll open up and it should reveal my banner, which is basically a picture of a microphone. My logo, my banner, it just says the Narrative Podcast on it. And then you want to click that, click the like button on the banner, and it's in the shape of a heart. And then it should open up all the way, and then you should see the platform, the whole episode. And then when you see the picture, click on the heart button again. And then next to the like button, which is in the shape of a heart, you should see a clock icon. Ignore that. Leave me a comment in the comment box. And then next to the comment box, you should see the download button. That's the most important thing you can do for the platform, is the download episodes of the Narrative Podcast. So the download button is in the shape of a cloud. It then has an arrow pointing down, so you want to click on the cloud icon to download the episode of the Narrative Podcast. And then also share it across all platforms as well. So X, just wrapping it up. Click the like button twice. The like button to open it up. The like button again. Comment, download, and share episodes of the Narrative Podcast. So now that you know how to support me on those two platforms, just want to say to my visual content creators to please shout out, the Narrative Podcast, like whatever, platform that you're on, that you upload content, that you're behind the camera or in front of the camera, you might just want to just shout out the platform. You don't have to shout out me personally, but shout the platform out in the Narrative Podcast, or maybe you do, because there's like thousands of podcasts titled the Narrative Podcast, but only one hosted by me, Halsey Allen, and pretty much mine is the only one that matters. I'm talking my ish, but it's facts. But yeah, so that's just my message to my visual content creators. Shout out the Narrative Podcast. Shout out Halsey Allen, for the algorithm and whatnot. And of course, it'll be trickle down. it'll be trickled down for you. If you're a visual content creator, it'll come back around to you in a good way. And then one more thing I want to say that a couple more things I want to say about the Narrative Podcast. Just remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast source from. Also, it's available on all podcast platforms. So look for the Narrative Podcast, hosted by me, Halsey Allen. And then I broadcast during 2 times. I broadcast 2 to 3 times during the week, and then once on the weekend. And I have 2 different format styles for each. So obviously today is a weekday. So my format style during the weekday, I have 2 sections. A section that I call the positive news article section, and I get into that, when I get there. And then I have another section called my speaking point section, and the speaking point section is just me delivering content on current events, and I brief you on why I do that too a little bit later on in the breakdown. But yeah, I broadcast 2 times, 3 times during the week, and then once on the weekend. Now my weekend format is slightly different. I have 5 sections instead of 2. And how I start things off, I'm not going to say all 5 sections, on the weekend. I'm just going to point out the key differences. So, during the weekday, I start off with positive news articles. That's my positive frame of reference about our people and our culture is positive news articles during the weekday. On the weekend, my positive frame of reference about our people and our culture is black-owned businesses. And that's how I start things off on the weekends. So those are the key differences between the weekday and the weekend episodes of the Narrative Podcast. And then on weekends, another key difference is I end it with the wise word of the day. And so you'll just have to tune in this weekend to see the other 3 sections. All right, so now that you know about the Narrative Podcast, how to support the platform, I'm going to dive into the next thing I would like you to support, which is my book of poetry that I've written. It's titled The Black Card, and it's available on poetizer.com. Poetizer.com is a social media platform for writers, and basically on poetizer.com, writers socially interact with one another, inbox and all that good stuff, critique each other's work, and also follow writing prompts listed within the app. And it's open to all forms of writing, essay writing, novel writing, short stories, and of course poetry. That's who the platform is pretty much catering to, is poets. It's implied in the name, poetizer.com. But poetizer.com also has a self-publishing feature for the people that participate within that community. They can use a self-publishing feature to write a book and then market and sell the book that they've written inside the poetizer.com's virtual online bookstore. And that's what I did. I wrote a book of poetry, and it's available on poetizer.com's virtual online bookstore. What the book is about, it's a 30-page book of poetry that's basically I think in literature it's called a retrospective piece. It encompasses and chronicles all our experiences as a people, all the nuances of our culture, everything we go through as a people, and experience as a people, both positive and negative. So like, you know, if you're an original man or original woman, you'll automatically just connect with that book. You know, the ancestors will call out to you to, you know, read the pages of the book, and you will most certainly find a little piece of yourself within the pages, or, you know, can relate to or identify with one of the pieces in the book. And then also, people outside of our culture, you don't have to feel left out. If you're open-minded and progressive, you can definitely, you know, incorporate those pieces into your life some type of way. You can use it as a learning tool, so you can better understand and better relate to, you know, original people in your life, or original people that you deal with on a daily basis. Or if you're an educator outside of our culture, you can teach your students, use that, you know, as a literary tool. Or a parent, you know, if you're a parent outside of our culture, you can use that as a teaching tool to teach your children how to accept and how to, you know, relate to people of different cultures and backgrounds. So, you know, everybody can benefit from that book some type of way. So again, to purchase the Black Card, head on over to poetizer.com. Go to their virtual online bookstore and look for my title, The Black Card, written by me, Halsey Allen, and purchase it today, or get your Black Card revoked. And the last thing I would like to promote is my personal poetry blog on blogger.com. It's called hallziespoetrycorner. And the link to it is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And what that is just basically a collection of my personal poetry. It has a wide array of topics. Another unique thing about that poetry blog is that I spontaneously wrote each piece. I didn't contemplate on the subject matter. I didn't contemplate on what I was going to title each piece. It's just raw, organic poetry. Like I said, it's very versatile. Each piece, you know, anything you experience in life, you know, you're guaranteed to find a poem to commemorate that on Halsey's Poetry Corner. Every type of emotion you can think of, there's a piece on Halsey's Poetry Corner that commemorates that. So, you know, whatever you're experiencing or whatever you're going through in life, you're guaranteed to find a piece of poetry on that blog site that kind of delves into it somewhat. So again, go check it out on blogger.com, Halsey's Poetry Corner. The link is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, and how you support the poetry blog is to share the link to Hall's Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or a piece featured on Hall's Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then also hit the like button, which is in the shape of a heart, so heart-shaped like button, click on that. And then also comment on, a poem featured on Hall's Poetry Corner. All the pieces on there, when you get to the blog site, it has a little box. You can comment under each piece. And the best way to do that is to, once you get to the site, if you got a Gmail account, sign in with your Gmail account, and you can, I'll be able to see your comments. I believe I have comments enabled, but to be for certain, sign in with your Gmail account. Now, a disclaimer: when you get to this site, you're going to get a little weird message. It's going to be like, this connection is not secure, and your passwords may be da 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 da. Ignore that message and just visit the site and read some good poetry. I'm pretty sure no hackers is going to take that opportunity. So go check it out. Support Hall's Poetry Corner. Share the link to Hall's Poetry Corner and poems featured on Hall's Poetry Corner across all platforms. And then also one more thing about it, I have a tagline for it. It's called Hall's Poetry Corner, Poetry with a Passion, Poetry for All Occasions. And when you read the pieces featured on the poetry blog, you will see that they live up to that tagline. So that's all the projects I have to promote. Go check them out, support them. I will keep you up to date with any new thing that I complete that I would like you to support. But those are pretty much everything I have completed and everything ready to support right now. Now we're going to dive on into the synopsis of the Narrative Podcast before diving into the content. So starting at the top, Tippy, the name. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast as I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. So what I wanted to do to counter the way the media inaccurately and divisively corrupts our images and our likenesses to promote their agenda, I wanted to design a platform where I'm celebrating all our achievements, creating the atmosphere to encourage and foster positive reinforcement, and also to create a safe space, for our people, because we're the only group of people that are constantly, attacked from all sides. We have just this vicious perception of us. And, on this space that I'm creating, this is just a positive, safe space where we can feel good about ourselves. And then also, I want to just facilitate the atmosphere where we're congratulating each other, celebrating our accomplishments and our achievements, and, banding together in unity for one common goal. Also on the Narrative Podcast, my mission statement is to bring awareness to the listening audience of why it's important to responsibly utilize your platforms to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and to also encourage the listening audience to responsibly utilize their platforms to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So that's, what the Narrative Podcast is about. Initially, that's the mission statement of the Narrative Podcast. And so the hot take on it is basically, this is a space where, I provide positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. And, I think that's a perfect segue for the tagline of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture to alter or change how our people are perceived across all forms of media, hence the title, The Narrative Podcast. All right, so now that you know what the Narrative Podcast is all about, I'm going to go over some nuances you should be aware of before diving into the content this evening. First and foremost, I refer to my target listening audience as my narrators. And with that, what I mean when I say that is just basically, I'm calling my target listening audience, storytellers. So that's what a narrator is. They tell a story. They just set up the plot so you can keep up with it. And the reason why we need to tell our own stories, because our story as a people has been corrupted by the media. And if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. So that's what I mean when I call my target listening audience my narrators. And the mission of a narrator is to, tell your own story. So basically, this is the example I always use when I explain about what I mean when I call my target listening audience my narrators. We're living in the digital information age. We all interact with each other online these days. We all, gather information. We all network and communicate with each other online. For whatever purpose that you're online for. This is how, information is being shared. So typically all digital platforms has a bio section. In your bio section, you list, your hobbies, your interests, your beliefs, values, or if you're a company, things about your product. But after you, fill out your bio section, then you upload visual content that complements the information that you supplied about whatever you want the world to know about either yourself or your product in the bio section. And the visual content that you upload is the best visual representation of whatever information that you entered in the bio section. So that's what I mean when I call, my target listening audience my narrators. Not only do we have to, tell a good story, tell or narrate, a good story, we have to show, We have to show a good story as well. We need to upload the best possible visual representation of ourselves as possible. Because the media has uploaded the worst visual imagery of our people and our culture as they possibly can. They've uploaded the most foul, corrupt, destitute, degenerate images they can muster to represent our people and our culture. So, as narrators, you're in the unique position to tell or narrate our story. And the story we should be narrating is the story of truth, who we are as a people. What is our true origin? What is our true nature? Our true origin, our true nature. We're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. And that's how we should be, depicted across all media platforms. So we got the opportunity as narrators to take our images back, to reclaim our identities. So that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. That's what I mean when I say narrator. Just one who's telling their own story and telling it from a place of positivity and truth. All right, so the next thing you need to know about the Narrator podcast is that this is a positive space. I don't engage in any negativity, gossip, slander, name calling, roasting, and all that. I'm not super serious, but I just don't engage in any foolishness on this platform, and I don't encourage or endorse, foolishness. Foolishness is what's destroying our people. The foolishness is getting incentivized by the people that run the media. They're literally churning out thousands, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars by, corrupting our images and our likenesses. Essentially, creating an atmosphere where we're using digital media to make absolute fools of ourselves. Absolute fools of ourselves by bickering and arguing amongst each other, by trying to threaten to physically harm each other. It's okay, I get it in hip hop and like other forms of entertainment. I get the competitive nature, the trash talk. I get it. It is entertaining to hear the trash talk, but the way they got the media got the trash. The downside of the trash talk is it leads to being disenfranchised, because a lot of us that are on digital media, social media, we're promoting our brands digitally. We need the media. So if we're getting drugged through the media, what's happening to your brand? It's getting diminished. You're losing traction on your projects. You're not eating. The people that you have employed for you, they're missing out on, things that they need to take care of their households. And then not to mention, it just looks bad. It's a horrible blemish on us as a people. It looks just so bad on the surface that we don't band together and unify as a people. That we just trade insults, take pop shots, take cheap shots at each other, drag people into our arguments that don't have anything to do with it, like mothers and children that's getting dragged into arguments when it's just really between two people, but then you just air out all the dirty laundry. I don't promote or endorse, or promote none of that. This is a positive, safe space for our people, something that we can just, feel good about ourselves. This is all about being impactful, being like uplifting and edifying our people, sharing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture, and just trying to make progressive strides to do better and be better, live better, love better. So, it's not about being perfect. This ain't none of us perfect, but it's just basically what this platform is all about, is about taking the higher road. Everything doesn't deserve a response. Discretion is the better part of valor. Life is war. You're going to have a battle every day you wake up. But you got to choose your battles wisely. And that's what this platform is all about, is just being strategic. So yeah, the Narrator Podcast is a positive space. I don't engage in any gossip, negativity, slander, none of that. Don't promote it, don't stamp it, don't condone it, don't think any of it's funny. I do make jokes because this is a podcast. I try to keep the content entertaining, but I don't have like mean-spirited laughs at other people's expense. So next thing, if I ever speak about, a famous person, it's never from a mean space. It's never from, a denigrating space. Basically, in addition to sharing positive frames of reference, I deliver commentary on current events, and the current events that I commentate on as it pertains to us, usually, unfortunately, when I'm speaking about people from our community, usually it's for something negative. They're in the news for something negative. But in that, the way I try to frame up my commentary is from the perspective of the bigger picture. And so generally, typically, when anything in our community that a member of our community, rather, is going through something negative, usually two, elements are at play. One, systemic oppression, and then two, psychological programming and conditioning. So the systemic oppression factor is, the powers that be manipulating, the land around us, the climate, financially, being able to maneuver and have financial freedom, the type of games that they play, where they want to double and triple and quadruple tax us for everything, even when you establish yourself as an entrepreneur. When you get to the status where you're not, no longer working a 9-to-5 gig, where you have ownership. You own your own. You own several of your own businesses. They play all these type of little, systemic games. You can't get this property. You can't get that property. You can't get, this acquisition, that acquisition. Not because you don't have money, just because they won't sell it to you. They won't sell it to you because, they don't want you to be in the position of power. So a whole lot of entrepreneurs within our community, they have to have, essentially the face of their company be a white face. They have to appoint white CEOs, white COOs, boardroom members. So basically their company can flourish and not get, this tax, that tax, and, have this, looked at and that looked at. So like there's that. And then psychological programming and conditioning. How do they psychologically program and condition our people? Well, just like I said, it's, the media. There's all types of negative frames of reference about our people and our culture in movies, television, literature, pop culture, everything you can think of. The image of our people are tainted, foul, and corrupt. So it's like we're seeing this imagery, we're hearing all this negative stuff in the music constantly, every day, all day. So we perceive ourselves a certain way. We perceive our brothers and sisters a certain way. We interact with each other and react to each other a certain way. And the certain way is a negative way. So we're programmed and conditioned to be hostile. We're programmed and conditioned to be aggressive. We're programmed and conditioned to be angry. So when we're in the news for doing something, negative, those two elements are usually the key components at play. And that's how I try to, frame up my commentary when I'm delivering commentary on, whatever's going on in the world. So if I'm talking about a famous person, it's not to talk bad about them. It's just really to illustrate, the bigger picture scenario, from whatever they're going through or experiencing or in the media for. Next thing you should be aware of about the Narrator podcast is a time-sensitive platform. Try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast, and the purpose of me doing that is basically to, keep you attentive as a listener, make it fresh, make it exciting, make it entertaining. I can't keep your attention if, I'm boring you to sleep. So for that, I try to keep it just, brief and to the point, short and sweet. I try not to stay away from subjects that just are super open-ended. I don't want to ramble and rant and, go down long rabbit holes. I just want to make my points clear and concise and just basically, be a good messenger. I don't also want to beat you over the head with the message. I just want to, put out the content and, make my message practical, applicable, and easy to digest. So I can't, just talk and talk. I can talk and talk and talk, but, for what? I don't want to just like be on the ear talking and talking and talking. So I don't want to bore you to sleep. I want to grab your attention. I want to keep you captivated, and then I also want to entertain you as well, inform you and entertain you as well. So, for that, I just try to keep it short, sweet, brief, and to the point. Now, next thing you need to know about the Narrator podcast is I refer to our people on this platform. By our people, I mean black people as original people. And I refer to our people as original people for a couple reasons. Reason number one, it's historically accurate. We were and are the first people to inhabit the world. Who was here first. We were the original beings of this world. Second reason is to unify us as a people. So what do I mean by, historically accurate? Like I said, we was here first. We was here thousands of years before anybody. Before anything was, we was. We existed long before anything. We also invented everything. We originated everything. Everything can be traced back to our existence. We were the original, architects. We were the original educators. We was the original physicians, the original healers. We was the original alchemists. We was the original scientists. We was the original chemists. We was the original mathematicians. We originated religion and spirituality. We originated civilization. So that's what I mean when I refer to our people as original people from the historical perspective. Now, what I mean by the original people from the unity perspective is, there are many different types of us, hailing from many different land masses, believing, different ideologies, religions, spiritualities, like spiritual practices. We're just diverse in so many different areas. But as many places that we differ in, we're similar in. And so, we need to take that energy and just be, create a united front for our people. Because we all cling on to our nationalities, we all cling on to our political views, we all cling on to all these different pronouns, but people outside of our culture, they don't respect any of that. They just look at us and they say, y'all black. You're a black guy. You're a black woman. They don't call you they don't refer to you as your faith. They don't look at you and be like, you a Christian, you a Muslim, you a Buddhist, you you Emotep, you a Hebrew Israelite. None of that. They just look at you and be like, you're black. They don't look at you and be like, you're Jamaican, you're Haitian, you're Trini, you're from the islands, you from the Bahamas, you from this place, that place. They just look at you and be like, you're black. But we, as a people, we're the only ones that put all these values on ourselves. We want to be FBA. We want to be, you know, Afro this, Afro that. But at the end of the day, the thing we all have in common is we were here first. We're original people. So that's what I mean when I refer to our people as original people. It's just one universal, all-inclusive term that can apply to all of us, no matter, what language you speak, no matter what country or state you come from. That's a universal, all-inclusive term for all of us. We all possess high concentrations of melanin or carbon, aka melanin. We can all trace our lineage back to the original place of origin for all our people. And then we all face the same oppressive plight. No matter where we're at in the world, we all get treated like dirt by people that don't look like us. And then we also share an unspoken bond. We can just, no matter where you come from in the world, I know what you've been through. You know what I've been through. I know your connection to your ancestors. We all have a connection to the ancestors. We all have a connection to our elders. We all relate to each other the same way but differently, if that makes sense. So that's what I mean by original people from the unity perspective. And then just one little tidbit I want to throw in before diving into the content. I do this every segment. I just want to take this time to debunk the false narrative of slavery. You see, historians try to use slavery to unify us as a people. That we all have that in common, that we were all once slaves, that we were all once enslaved. Like slavery was the biggest, most important part of our existence. When, just like I just said, we were here first. So if we was here first, we existed thousands of years before slavery ever existed. But yet they want to fixate on slavery and make that the most definitive time era of our existence. They want to speed past the part where we were rulers. They want to speed past the part where we were the original explorers. They want to speed past the part where we mothered and fathered civilization, where we taught everybody in every corner of the globe how to survive. Nobody would exist if it wasn't for our people. They want to speed past all that and just want to tack on, you guys were slaves. And when they do that, that's just really them trying to diminish what we truly were, what we truly are, which is kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. So, mean that when we say that I'm a god. When you say you a god, that's not blasphemy to the Creator. That's actually acknowledging the Creator. So, that's what, this whole false narrative of slavery represents. They want to try to stoke fears. They want to just perpetuate this false image of the scared, docile slave. They want to just perpetuate that. Oh, yes, master. Don't beat me, master. Yes, master. They want to perpetuate that image of us. I'll do it, master. They want to go back in time and preserve that little chunk of time and attach each and every one of us to that specific image. I said Pacific. Specific image. But like I said, there's more to it there's more to us than slavery. A large part of us. So while slavery did happen, it was real. It was, not a pleasant experience for our people. Not all of us got everywhere we currently exist via the slave trade. Because as I stated earlier, we are the original people of this planet. Meaning, we already got there everywhere voluntarily on our own. All 7 continents. Any place you can name, we was already a large concentration of us were already existing there. Especially here in North America. Like less than I would say 70% of us came from Africa. And that's not a slight against our brothers and sisters from Africa. That's not saying we are disgusted with the mere thought of us, being from Africa. That's not at all what that is. That's saying we are the original landlords of this land that we standing on. We was here first. We was the original indigenous people of this land. We was the original indigenous people of all lands outside of Africa. So any, place that had dark-skinned people, they didn't get there. They didn't get shipped from Africa on a slave boat. They was already there. And that's the false narrative that, historians keep on trying to perpetuate about, the transatlantic slave trade and, intermixing and intermingling did happen, but I guarantee you, and everything's researchable these days. You can do your own due diligence. You will come to find that we was already there. We was already there, like all on the continent of Asia. We was already in the Philippines. We was already in the Mediterranean, Greece, Italy. We was already there. We was already in places like in Central America, like Spain, Argentina, like Cuba, Panama, Brazil, Ecuador. We was already there. Any Spanish-speaking nation, our people was already there. There ain't no such thing as an afro nothing. The afro is a hairstyle. Point being is like, there's this mass false narrative about slavery saying they just uprooted Africans from Africa for hundreds of years all across the world. And that's just not true. What else is not true is that we possessed slaves. That wasn't always like throwing that out. Well, you guys had slaves too. No, we had indentured servants. We didn't, and we treated our indentured servants with dignity. We didn't whip them and beat them and sodomize their children. We didn't castrate the men and the women. We darn sure didn't eat their flesh. Y'all ate our flesh. There ain't no historical documents that you can pull up to say any African tribe or any indigenous native people on any continent engaged in cannibalism. That's what they love showing in Hollywood. Our people ate people. When it was y'all, the Europeans, running around eating people. Slave owners eating slaves. So that's all I want to do is just, address the false narrative of slavery that they try to, perpetuate and try to just attach our images and our likenesses to that. They show us all these brutal signs of slavery, all these museums and all these all these little pictures and slave trading, auctioning blocks and all that stuff. And half of it be cat. We don't take the time to, refute this image that these images and these likenesses that they try to shove in front of our faces. And so now is the time to start calling these liars out and reclaim our true identity. But anyway, that's all I wanted to touch on about the false narrative of slavery. I'm going to dive on into the content this evening here on the Narrative Podcast. Well, my very first section of the Narrative Podcast. This section is called the Positive News Article section. It's self-explanatory. This section, I'm sharing positive news articles. The Narrative Podcast is dedicated to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And with positive news articles, that's my positive frame of reference about our people and our culture. The reason why I'm sharing positive news articles is because, during the week, all we ever see on the news is just negative images and likenesses of our people. All day, in the news, some of us going to jail, being unaliving each other, stealing from each other. Some form of degeneracy, a sister on top of the hood of her car, twerking. Young men standing on the corner with their pants down to their kneecaps. Just some type of buffoonish, degenerate behavior, some type of violent behavior. Just something that reinforces these negative stereotypes and stigmas about our people and our culture is always prevalent in the media all during the week. So that's why I'm sharing these positive news articles about our people and our culture. It just put out that frame of reference, put it out in the atmosphere. Positive things do happen in our community because the media wants us to believe only negative things happen in our community. Only crime happens in our community. Only depression and being disenfranchised and being hopeless. That's all just like this big black cloud in our community. There is no silver lining for us as a people. So that's what the positive news articles is all about. I'm giving you positive frames of reference that, there is excellence in our community. We triumph in the face of adversity. We overcome all these obstacles set before us. There's humanitarianism happening in our community. There's leadership happening in our community. There's unity happening in our community. There's strong family structure happening within our community. All the things that they say, that does not happen in our community with the news articles and the imagery that they portray about our people and our culture, that's what I'm saying when I'm delivering positive news articles during the weekday. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive on into the positive news articles. And then after I'm finished with that, I'm going to dive into current events in the section I call my speaking point section. So up first is the positive news articles. And the first positive news article this week on this weekday edition of the Narrative Podcast, the headline reads, Black-owned facilities management and maintenance company celebrates 5 years in business, wins prestigious award. And the name of the company is called Django Facilities, LLC. Not spelled like the movie Django. It doesn't have a D at the beginning. It's Jengo. The president of this company is a sister, or is a brother by the name of Kwame Watkins. Now I said sister because it says in the article it's a black woman-owned company. So, but Kwame Watkins is the president and CEO of Django Facilities. Django Facilities is a management / maintenance / construction / consulting company. They now offer cleaning, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, general maintenance, and landscaping. They're a certified black woman-owned company, and its headquarters is in Dallas, Texas. Django Facilities LLC was recently awarded the 2024 Champion Award by the Dallas-Fort Worth chapter of the American Real Estate Professionals Association, or AAREPDFW for short. I don't know how short that is, but that's the acronym for it. And what that award is just to basically honors people in real estate for offering positive solutions to the community to keep it exuberant. So if you know what facility maintenance is, it's just basically the upkeeping of property. And then I just want to go off on a little side tangent. That is something we need within our community. That's a highly sustainable field There's never not going to be a demand for facility maintenance. You know, especially here in North America, every building, you know, you got to keep your buildings up. If there's a house sitting on a property, you got to have the, you got to have the lawn mowed. You have to have the, the sidewalk paved. You have to have the driveway paved. You have to keep the building, up to code. The HVAC system needs to be up to code. The electrical system, like the wiring, needs to be up to date, even if nobody's occupying, the building or the house. So facility maintenance, that's just, one of those vocational trade skills that will keep our people gainfully employed. So if you want to know more about Django Facilities LLC, go to www.djangofm.com. You can also follow them on LinkedIn, IG, and X, Django Facilities. So without any further ado, let's give it up for our brother Kwame Watkins and Django Facilities LLC for their dynamic win and all the services they provide the community. Okay, up next, with the next positive news article on this weekday edition of the Narrator Podcast, the headline reads, "From rejection to riches, Black chocolatier turns firing into fueling creativity, thriving chocolate company." And the brother's name is Patrick Glandville, pardon me. And the name of his brand is called Threesome Chocolates. It was established in 2017. So the article wasn't really specific about it. I didn't do, my background, but reading in between the lines, it's safe to say, he felt like he was being treated unfairly by his previous employer. He filed a complaint, and they retaliated against him and ended up firing him or laying him off, which is basically firing if they lay you off with no intention of, letting you come back to work. So he created the company. And I believe 2010 is when he came up with the concept, but he officially, got things up and running in 2017. So it was a long, arduous journey. He was just, testing the market, testing recipes since 2010. So the unique thing about Threesome, where it gets its name, is Threesome is a blend of 3 different chocolates. So all his brands of chocolate have 3 different flavors in them. And for a full list of the flavors, you can go to threesomechocolates.com. So, I think that's a real good, innovative approach. He has like just all these different combinations you wouldn't think they would work. He found a way to make them work. Now, if they came up with dairy free, I would be all in. Come up with some dairy free threesome chocolates, I'm all in. But you know, if you got you a sweet tooth, you like you some chocolate, head on over to Threesomes Chocolates at threesomschocolates.com and order you some today. Join me in giving our brother Patrick Glanville a warm narrative podcast for his brand Threesome Chocolates, and you know, overcoming adversity, not giving up, and starting his own company, opening a new door when one door got shut. And this is the last positive news article this evening here on the Narrator Podcast. The headline reads, formerly incarcerated men launch black-owned, ready-to-eat meal prep company. And the brothers' name are Dave Lewis, Jared Atkins, Fritz Georges. I don't know if S is silent, but his last name is Georges, Jeorges. S might be silent, I don't know. The name of their company is called Macrobites. It launched in 2019. They were all former inmates, all serving time on drug-related charges. They all got released in 2013, and all this happened in New Jersey. So they was all serving time in New Jersey, and so Macrobites basically they incorporate meal prep. So they got meal prep bundles all throughout the week, so you don't have to cook if you don't like cooking. They got you. So they got weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly meal prep bundles. So all you gotta do is just like warm it up. And so they're from the pen. They learn how to cook in the penitentiary, so you know it's gonna slap. It's a proven fact that, you know, all the best chefs in the world, they either got their training from the military or the penitentiary. You know, a few. And then, of course, you know, the other percentile actually got their training from institutions like Le Cordon Bleu and other culinary institutes. But the majority of them, like the greatest ones in the world, they got their training from, you know, the penitentiary or the military. But each one of them, upon their release from prison, they was all in respective different fields, ranging from construction to, you know, other hospitalities. Like one person was in construction, one of them was like busting tables and washing dishes. The other one became a sous chef, certified sous chef. Probably went to either probably got their culinary certification through a program in the penitentiary, or joined a culinary institution upon their release. No, I think the article said he worked his way up and became a sous chef for that restaurant that he was working at. But anyway, bottom line is all three gentlemen, they didn't give up. They didn't let their surroundings dictate their circumstances, because they could easily, like most inmates when they get out, get frustrated and go on the road that put them in there to begin with. Because, like, let's be real, in our country, prison is just college. Nowadays, prison is just college. Like, you network with other inmates, ask them what they was in for, y'all compare notes. So now you got new underworld connections. And then when you get out, you're going to do the same thing all over again. And get right back in that track. But you probably want to learn some tricks. You're going to learn how to, like, get out early. Because you're going to read up on the law and, you know, you're not going to rehabilitate, which is part of systemic programming or psychological programming and conditioning and systemic oppression. Like, it's one big, vicious, endless cycle. But anyway, these gentlemen found a way to make it work. They also have an actual restaurant as well, in addition to their, meal prep business. They also have a brick and mortar place that serves, food ready to order. Restaurant style. So you can go visit that at 1201 Springwood Avenue, Ashbury Park, New Jersey, 07712, or call them directly at 732-481-9388. And the name of their company is called Macro Bites. The M is capitalized and the B is capitalized. No spaces. Macro Bites. So let's give it up for our brothers Dave Lewis, Jared Atkins, and Fritz George of Macro Bites for their resilience and, their dedication and wanting to better themselves in life, and also their commitment to want to forward opportunities to people that's in the same predicament that they were in at one point in time. All right, so moving right along. My next section is my current event section. I call this section my speaking point section, and what I'm talking about is just basically current topics happening either globally, nationally, or just something out of our community. And the purpose of me delivering my commentary is just basically, that's me controlling the narrative, because the media go out of its way to have it sounding and looking foolish. So this is me just, breaking down current news from our perspective. And the perspective that I always cover it from is the bigger picture perspective. Like I said, earlier. So, there's not a whole lot happening in the world, The media is still ablaze because of Diddy's conviction. So, it's just like endless, endless skits, endless memes. So we're not going to not hear about that for months coming. We'll probably still be talking about this all the way up to the new year. But I'm not going to speak about it tonight. I already gave my spiel on it. So if I talk about it again is when I hear like new developments about it. But there haven't been any new developments about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I do want to speak about one thing in the media currently trending right now. And I feel like that's one of them stories where, you know, if you don't talk about it, it just slide through the cracks. And right now, this brother needs the support of all of us. He's literally fighting for his life. So let's talk about it. Get into it. This is a story of a brother by the name of Marcellus Williams. So in 1998, he was convicted of killing a woman by the name of, so he's currently on death row. He's scheduled for execution on September 24th. NACCP is rallying around him, trying to get, you know, the conviction overturned. Classic story. Classic story. He was convicted of unaliving a white woman. They got him on robbery, murder in the first, and I think burglary. So they was basically said the brother broke into her house and unalived her, basically. So the lady's name was Felicia Gale. Happened in the 90s. They convicted him in 2001. Happened in 98. His execution date is set for September 24th. So when I'm pulling up in the courtroom documents, the lawyers for Williams note former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens previously halted Williams' execution indefinitely, informed the Board of Investigations to investigate his case and determine whether he should be granted clemency. The board investigated Williams' case for the next 6 years until Governor Michael Parson abruptly terminated the process the lawyers write. When Parson took office, he dissolved the board and revoked Williams' stay of execution. The petition notes Parson's decision denied Williams his right to due process, says Williams' lawyer. The governor's actions have violated Williams' constitutional rights and created exceptionally urgent need for the court's attention, the court documents state. And then it goes on to say, the original trial, the court documents state, citing issues including the removal of at least one prospective black juror due to race. And that was the one thing that they needed to build a case for clemency. If the governor had not wrongfully dissolved the board, you know, they would have a case for clemency. So the prosecutor's argument is they want to have a motion to vacate Williams' conviction, which is a judge rejected earlier this month. The NAACP is calling on Parson to halt Williams' execution. Nothing that the death penalty has been historically applied in racially desperate manner, particularly in Missouri. Killing Mr. Williams, a black man who is wrongfully convicted of killing a white woman, would amount in a horrible miscarriage of justice and a perpetration of the worst Missouri past. NACC President and CEO Derek Johnson and Missouri State Conference President Nimrod Chappell Jr. wrote in an open letter to Parson. On Wednesday, U.S. Rep. Cori Bush of Missouri also sent a letter to Parson urging him to stop Williams' execution. And the state's response is, as lawmakers, we are committed to building a Missouri that is a beacon of justice, and we strive daily to represent the needs and demands of Missourians across the state. The letter states, for this reason, we are urging you to immediately commute Mr. Williams' sentence and halt his execution. Highlighting the efforts of Williams' attorney to prove his innocence, Bush said executing Williams would be a grave injustice and would do serious and lasting harm. You bet your sweet potato. Hell yeah. I'm not laughing at him. I'm just like laughing out how it's worded. Like, you think it'll do serious harm? Being not alive will definitely do you serious harm if you get executed. But yeah, you see how they try to play the brother. So they had nothing. They had no concrete evidence linking him to the crime. No witnesses. Nothing. All they had was circumstantial evidence. Apparently, he was in the vicinity at the time, but they didn't, find any evidence that puts him at the scene of the crime, which was inside the house. They didn't find any gunpowder residue on him. They didn't find any, a knife or nothing. They just seen a brother there in that vicinity, arrested him. Didn't ask no neighbors for a description. He just his life is hanging in the balance as we speak. This brother got he's looking at less than a week to live for something he didn't even do. And so why is that here in this country that it just repeatedly when they let people within our community that they know are known serial killers, are known criminals, they let them they leave them out on the streets for 20, 30, 40 years. They let them get 40, 50, 60 M's under their belt before they come get them. They let them do extortion and racketeering and all that for 10, 15, 20 years and then scoop them up. Or wait till they almost dead on the street anyway. They don't come get them immediately. But then they come get immediately a brother that ain't did nothing, don't bother nobody. Well, I don't know, I ain't gonna say his past, I don't really know. But virtually hasn't broken any, of their laws. And puts not only in jail, tries to put them underneath the jail. Or in this instance tries to, use capital punishment. But yet, when somebody outside of our culture does something to one of us, we always get that rap about, well, these things take time. The wheels of justice turn slowly. And we have to wait, and we have to sit. But the second one of us does something to somebody outside of our culture, they bring it to jail to us. Like, we ain't even got to leave our house. They building the jail in our house. Like, we might not even make it to the police station in some instances. Why is it like that? Everybody sitting up there worried about Diddy, and we got stuff like this happening. So, I was just delivering that fact. I mean, there's really nothing left else to say. Like, there's nothing I could really add to that story. Any commentary? I mean, it's just plain. It's simple as day. The brother is wrongfully convicted. His life is hanging in the balance. Like, he's like, it'll literally take a miracle to get him out of this. They got their mind made up. They're basically kicking, every stool that he stands on, they kicking the stool up out from underneath him, kicking the chair out from underneath him. They getting rid of other black jurors. They getting, I was never a fan of that. Getting convicted by a jury of your peers. How is it a jury of his peers when nobody on the jury stand looks like him? Y'all dismissed the only black person on the jury. I'm sorry. None of my peers is a 60-year-old white woman from Pomona. Or 80-year-old white guy from that got an education on I hang a nigga you. So the system is not rigged. That's how it was designed. It's almost like, the only time we get justice is when we get to flipping over tables. And then when we start flipping over tables, then they be like, well, let's just, peacefully protest. This isn't what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King would want. When we get to flipping over tables, but then you don't want to never give our due process. You want to strip us of everything, don't want to give us anything, But then you want to put things on us, put oppressive burdens on us. That's all you want to give us. You don't want to give us what you owe us. You just want to dump heavy loads onto us. Now, I'm not saying everybody in our community is a saint. Everybody in our community doesn't have good intentions. We do have some rotten, despicable people in our community that are a blemish and a stain on our community, and we'll be better off without them. We do have people like that in our community, but this brother ain't one of them. Well, I laid it out, and y'all can play it out. I delivered the message. Do your due diligence. If you live in the city of St. Louis, I believe that's where it's happening, state of Missouri. Get with that local NACCP chapter and see how you can help. You can also call Governor Parson at 417-373-400, and that'll stop the execution of Marcellus Williams. So, that's all we can really do on our end at this point. So one more time, I'm going to run it back, the number again. Get up, get active. Call 417-373-3400. And that's for our brother Marcellus Williams. Well, that's it and that's all. That's been another edition of the Narrator Podcast. Join me this weekend for a full edition of the Narrator Podcast. Join me. I think I'm going to do another weekday episode either tomorrow or Friday. So just keep your ears tuned in. If I don't do it tomorrow, it'll be Friday most definitely. And then this weekend, for sure, as I do every weekend. So it's been Saturday-ish. Lately I've been recording at, start recording at 9:10 and not get the episode finished to midnight. So I've been working on my delivery though. I should have it uploaded this weekend at a reasonable time. But check me out this weekend for a full episode of the Narrator Podcast. And just keep your ear to Podcast Land for my final weekday upload this week of the Narrator Podcast. And remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast wherever you get your podcast source from. I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help me change the narrative by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end, one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen, the Narrator Podcast, signing off. And it's like that.
listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.